So a merry Motivation Monday, because here we are. It's a week before Christmas, lots of holidays and lots of, well, there's a lot of stress that can come at the holidays. And so what I thought I would do is give us a little opportunity to reframe at a stressful time and to experience a bit of gratitude. So I'm referring to this as a gratitudinal shift and not just an attitudinal shift. Because it's really easy to get overwhelmed. It's really easy when there's so much that we're trying to do. And yet there's a lot of great stuff that can happen at this time of the year. But we can get overloaded with things at home, overloaded with all of the tasks. And the home really is a refuge, really can be a great place to recharge your batteries, not just on your mobile devices that you're going to be using shortly, but your own batteries energetically as well. And so what I thought I would do is take you through a few exercises that I think can help you appreciate what you have. Because this is a time of year when, as well, people are giving gifts, people want things, people expect things. And quite often when we're under stress, we don't appreciate what's already working. We don't appreciate what it is that we possess, what it is that's already in our lives. So I'm going to help you, I hope. At least I'm going to present the options. You get to help yourself. It's always friendly self-service. I'm going to present a couple of, again, attitudinal, gratitudinal perspectives to have some appreciation for what it is that you've got. And there's the drilling from the neighbors. I'm just curious, can you lift up your hand? Can you hear that or not? You can unmute. I've got a pretty good microphone here. You can hear it or you cannot hear it. Okay. Barely. Fantastic. I might have to put my headphones on if it gets really loud. So it'll cover up again, the Christmas ornament shirt, but there we go. Fantastic. Thanks. Right. Okay, so I'm going to do my best with this. So what I'm going to do a screen share. If you have your devices handy, I'm going to give you an opportunity to log in. You don't have to participate if you don't want to. If you'd like to, it's really useful. Those of you who are watching the recording afterwards, the online polling won't work. That'll be closed, but I suggest going through the activities in real time and answering the questions for yourself as well. And if you want to repeat this afterwards also, I think that can work really great. Before we start getting into your home, let's just sort of revisit that attitude or visit that attitude of gratitude. What's one thing you're grateful for right now? Is there anything? For me, I've got my coffee cup right here. I'm grateful for that. And of course, I'm grateful for all of you being here. Great. Bed, fantastic. Warm clothes, warm coffee, life, excellent. Beautiful. Look at all of this. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad to, look, someone's grateful for me. That's sweet. Eyes, good to have eyes as well. Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, 13 folks have answered. Beautiful answers. Thanks so much. And a lot of folks writing family and health. Indeed. All right. And again, just make sure you're muted. Sounds like there's a bit of background noise, so just give a quick check over there for that. And let's move on. So I'm going to do a quick little introduction of Feng Shui, but I want a little introduction of your thoughts of Feng Shui. So what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think Feng Shui? You've got 3 short answers you're able to enter. You might be able to enter subsequent answers, and you don't have to hold back. If you want to say woo-woo or voodoo or nonsense or whatever it is, you are free to say whatever you like. Psychic energy, balance, okay, harmony. Okay, it's a bit of woo-woo, environmental support, spiritual. Oh, great answers. Okay. Cool. So that's 12 folks have answered mumbo jumbo. That definitely comes up for a lot of folks. Decluttering, energy, ordering. Cool. All right. Thank you all for sharing. I'm going to give you a quick little lowdown just a few basics, and then we're going to move on to what it is that we can do. This is pretty common sense, and that tends to be how most people refer to my approach to feng shui. That is pretty common sense. Um, so feng shui, the left-hand character means feng, as in typhoon, which means wind. Typhoon is a big wind. Shui, water. Wind and water, air and water are the two basic physical ingredients, forms of energy that we need in order to survive. We need air, we need water. So basically, we're just looking at what is the energy that helps us to survive, but also thrive. And having the right balance. Too much water, too much air, rather, as in a typhoon. Well, it's too much. It's not what you need, but you want, a nice gentle breeze on a hot summer day that can be really refreshing. And the right amount of water, right, as opposed to too much. Again, I'm here in Vancouver, and sometimes there's a little bit more than we would like falling from the sky. But feng shui is a practice of how we arrange the physical environment to be aligned with the principles of nature, the same principles that govern the flow of air and water in the physical environment and other processes in the physical environment can really work well for us. Physiologically, we have not evolved a whole lot in the last, in thousands of years, but our living spaces have, and they lack a lot of the energetic ingredients that could really serve us. So I like to say this is almost like the programming manual of nature's operating system. How does nature really operate? And then how can that serve us in the built environment? Because, for a very long time, we were living in places like this and some possibly less hospitable places than this. But sure is beautiful and has got a lot of nature there. And, in the winter, it's nice to be indoors, nice to have shelter. But then we cut ourselves off from some of what it is that we really need. So how do we find that balance when, this is we have built environments like this, with Godzilla as well, not necessarily the most stressful, very stimulating, but then we really need to recharge our batteries. So we want to have a balance. Now, James Clear, the best-selling author of Atomic Habits, said that environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. So it has a huge impact on how you behave, but I would go further because it's also on how you think, on how you feel, on your whole belief system, right? TV commercials can be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, but millions of dollars are spent producing them in an attempt to shape how it is that you think. So what about the stuff that you're looking at for weeks, months, or years? What are the ingredients? We know very well that we should eat healthy food. That's pretty clear. But what's healthy in the environment? And I'm not talking just in the material sense. What is healthy for your mindset? What's healthy atmospherically, emotionally? Right? So this is what feng shui looks at. We start looking at, the interactive engagement that you have with your environment. And you try to weed out the things that aren't working for you. And when you get rid of the weeds, you ideally can have some more nourishing growth. So it's quite fascinating that, with all of the pressure that there seems to be to create a home that matches what's on Instagram or what's on HGTV and so on. Kind of interesting. The Washington Post came out a year or two ago with a story that HGTV, right, home and garden television, is making our homes boring and making us sad. I think there's a good part of this is from the pressure. Another part of this is from people designing spaces to try to please others instead of to satisfy themselves. And I think the beigification of things is really a challenge, right? Lack of color, right? And somebody commented in the just right now in the chat. I agree. There is a bit of a rebellion going on, and I am grateful for it to see people embracing more color. And that's where I'm going to tie in a little bit because hey, Christmas decorations and other holidays, there's a lot of color at this time of the year. And it's interesting if we take a look at, what are the things that we do at this time of the year that maybe we don't allow ourselves to do the rest of the year? And why is that? So right now, let's just do a scale of 1 to 10. How are you? What's your happiness and satisfaction level with your home? Would you say not happy or satisfied at all, or totally happy, satisfied? And again, it's just a good litmus test for yourself to take a look, right? And the answer is just what the answer is. There's no judgment. It's a useful stock check for you. Okay. Got 10 answers. Let's wait for a couple more. Okay. All right. So on average, right, an average of 7-ish, 7.1. Okay, somebody a bit on the lower side, most of you a little bit above 5, which is fine. And wherever you're at is where you're at. And some of the practice I hope that we're going to be doing today, I hope will be supportive in helping you to be able to discern what you yourself are after in your home and what you can already appreciate that's there that maybe you're not paying attention to. And then from that place, you're able to better make choices that further increase your well-being. So let's start with this. What are you most grateful for in your home? What do you love there? I think most people hopefully have at least one thing that they love in their home, and maybe not. And if not, that's fine. But let's start with this. And some short answers with this kind of thing. Living room, great. View, bedroom. Carpet, warmth, light, great. Piano, I'd be grateful for that. Very nice. Nature outside. Beautiful answers. Hmm. hmm And the home itself, just kind of the basic thing, right? This is the thing which we can easily overlook. We have a home. If we have a home, there's already a lot to be grateful for. Not everybody's as fortunate, right? And at this time of year, if we have a home, if we have, warmth, we have a bed to sleep in, we have something to be grateful for. Great. Thank you for these answers. So let's do a little gratitude practice. So what I think, our relationship with our homes can so often be transactional, or that we don't really soak in what's present because we're busy. We're walking through your room to get somewhere else because you got something to do, right? And then you walk back and you go do something else. And so you walk by some of the art that you've chosen, or some of the books that you love, or some of the decorations that you have, and you're not necessarily, right, engaged with it, right? And so we're not hearing what our home is saying, and that can be for the things that are working for us or the things that are maybe not as supportive in the home. But because we're so busy, or we're just moving through and we're doing things, we're not really engaged in that two-way conversation. And our home is always speaking to us, and sometimes we're la 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 la, right? Hands on our ears and not listening. But I'd like us to start off by listening to one of the compliments, something in our home that we really, really like. So what I'd like you to do, I'm going to set a timer for 60 seconds. So just keep track of the time for yourself as well if you go sort of a little bit out of earshot. But I would like you to go stand and look at an area that's one that you really like. It might be just looking at, maybe you have a carpet that you like, or art on the wall, or your bookshelf, or whatever that is. And you don't do anything, don't have to touch anything, or you can if you just want to sort of get a sense, hey, I never really touched my books or touched my bookcase or the carpet. But don't move or make any changes. You just want to pay attention to what is there and to appreciate it. So you're choosing one of your favorite locations, one of your favorite things. Ideally, not too far away, right? I don't suggest necessarily going down 2 flights of stairs to sort of get there because it'll be a little bit harder to get back in time. Does this sound good? Give a little thumbs up or a little heart if you're ready for this. And I'm going to set the timer for 1 minute and go. All right. Well, if there's anything that I learned from that is the fact that 1 minute can actually be a long time. So hopefully you're making it back, and I am going to invite you to share. What did you see, feel, sense when observing your favorite spot or your favorite things? If you're willing to share, and you don't have to, but if you would. Right. Happy that I have what I need, where I relax, happiness, fabulous. Love everything in the living room. Nice memories, pics of people I love. Don't have to appreciate how many books. Okay. Love, love, love. Fabulous. Mhm. Okay, this is really good to notice that you can appreciate the simplicity and warmth of the bedroom lacking elsewhere. Thanks, a foam from the dog bed. That's lovely. Yeah, you can start to when you take even just a minute, you start to notice the details. It's really easy to overlook some of these things. All right. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. If you've got another answer, it might be sort of showing up in a little bit, but that's fine. I'm going to move on to a follow-up. Is there something simple you could do to make that space even better? And it might just be, wiping a little dust, straightening out, sort of a little, something on the shelf, maybe moving one item to another place. Is there something simple that you could do to make it even better? Because, it's probably been the way it is for a while. We often do things and leave them there for a little bit. So is there something simple? Just put it in. And if not, then not, right? Declutter a little bit. Okay, dusting and removing some items. That's great. Paint the neutral wood frames. That's a little bit less, it's a little less simple. It's still simple, but not going to be doing that in the next minute, but that's good. Look clean. Surface you need to clear off. Great. Okay. Just another 30 seconds or so. More light color, something else like that. That's great. Okay. So here's what I'm going to invite you to do. I'm going to set the timer for a minute again. And you just get to go back to that spot that you already like. And if there's just something really simple, it might be what you said, probably not going to do the painting or sort of changing the pillowcase or whatever. But keep that other thing in mind, but you can also just soak in the beauty of what it is that you've got and what it is that you like. Or if you want to do a little bit of hands-on, you're just going to get to, again, have a present time hands-on hello with this area of your home that you're grateful for. Okay, you ready? I am going to set the timer. 60 seconds. Let's go. Okay, then. That was, again, a minute can seem like a lot of time and it can seem like not a whole lot of time. Is there anything that you want to share? How was your experience of going and maybe just doing a little adjusting or just putting your hands on things or making a couple of simple, maybe fine-tuning changes? Oh, good to dust. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. That's some good step to take. Dig out the toolbox. Relieving. Really doesn't take much time to do a couple of simple things, but it's taking the time to do it. Yes, being intentional with your space really does do something. Right? Inner space and outer space are related. There actually is no inside or outside. It's all just different frameworks for the same thing. Some momentum. Good. And we're going to continue a little bit with that. Great. Let's just leave another 30 seconds or so if anyone else has anything to share. Wipe down windows, windowsills. That's great. And it's funny, when you set your intention and you focus on the fact that it's your favorite, some of the stuff like dusting or wiping that we might ordinarily not enjoy, we can actually enjoy it more because it helps us to appreciate what it is that we've got a little bit more. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move on. And now this is where we start to do a little bit of our gratitudinal shift, right? Shifting our attitude into gratitude. So problem spaces. Now, I think that most people are probably a little bit more, given human nature, uh, we can be a little bit more attuned to what we're not satisfied with, right? It's kind of a byproduct of our hunter-gatherer kind of mindsets that we look for possible problems or issues or threats. And so we can see the things that are not working. And when we get really busy, we maybe don't do what we could. Um, and really, though, this is all about relationship and it is all about mindset. And so this is what it is that I want us to invite the possibility of. So what I want us to just consider first is what's a not so favorite area, right? What's an area or a part of the home, and it could be just a part of a room. It might be just one bookcase. It might be a shelf. It might be anything along those lines. What's an area that you are not so enthusiastic about and why? What's the quote unquote problem? And I put problem in quotation marks because problems are really all about our relationship. And I don't think it's necessarily a problem per se, but we're going to use that as a starting point. So what's the issue with the office bookcase or the surface you need to declutter? Okay. Cluttered surfaces. Okay, that's a very common thing. Kitchen can be transactional. Yeah. Utility closet. Okay. Coffee table with too much on it. Possibly not enough coffee in you and too many things on the table. A family room. Okay. Okay. Ah, yes. Computers and wires. Always a joy. Mm-hmm. Room that's too yin. Okay. Laundry room like a space. Okay. All right. This is good to be identifying, right? Because of course you can't really make a change until you identify it. And it helps to have the relationship in present time instead of just like it's sort of gnawing at the back of your mind, causing a sort of bit of background noise and discontent. Okay. Um, so a follow-up question would be, right? What can you be grateful for in this space? Right? When we tend to be so all or nothing with our perspective. So there's a problem with this space. I don't really like this. And so then you look at what you don't like without simultaneously holding what it is that's maybe great. Like, oh, the office is messy, as opposed to holding, hey, I have an office. So I'm not like, in the midst of lockdowns where some people had to sort of take their laptop into the bathroom because they didn't have enough space to have an office while the kids were home. So, hey, I have an office, right? I have those cables. Oh my God, there's so many cables everywhere. It's like, hey, I've got all these devices that I get to use that enable me to be creative, right? Or that room's too yin. Okay, well, that room has a lot of stuff that I like in it, right? So, how can we take a look at the quote unquote problem area, but also have some gratitude for what is there and not overriding or just ignoring the problem? But let's also have in our consciousness, right? Not like a tunnel vision on the problem, but we're holding everything. It's in a field and multiple things can be there simultaneously. So, what I would love for you to do is when I turn on the timer, is for you to go take a look at that area and look at it and really have, hey, what can I be grateful for here? Like there's stuff here that if I didn't have, it might be a loss for me. And so I can be grateful for what's there. Sound good? You know, a little thumbs up, little hearts or whatever. And I think some of you might be raring to go. Okay, the timer is on for 1 minute. Go. And don't touch anything, just look. About 5 more seconds. All right. That was a minute. So what did you see, feel, or sense when observing your not so favorite spot or items? If you would be willing to type something out for us, could be worth sharing and observing and appreciating our own and others' answers. Opportunities. For a functional fridge and stove. Great. Appreciation for all the things, even though not super well organized. Value, yes. Not too shabby. Great. Extremely grateful for opportunities. Grateful for this is interesting, right? So seeing some, looks like a few of you are seeing some more, are really seeing some value and some opportunities and potential. This is great. Leave this for another 30 seconds if you're able to enter. Okay, a place to make money, that is it. So the office might feel messy or crowded or busy, but it's a place where you can do something that supports you. Okay, just another few seconds if you have something to share, and then we're going to go on to the next phase. All right. Or answer place that supports you. Wonderful. So, is there something simple you could do to that space? And by simple, I mean we're going to spend a minute right there. Is there something simple? It might just be I'm going to move the potato masher out of the drawer so the drawer actually closes, or I'm going to like just shift some papers on the desk. Something simple that you could do to help that space improve just a little bit. Eh, I can move a few things from the table, move some furniture. Okay. Don't necessarily do that right now, but you might take a note. Hey, that's a great thing. Toss some old stuff, dust off a few things you don't need. Great. Excellent. So taking a picture, so somebody wrote this. So this is something that I teach in my courses, especially in my 8-part The Story of Your Stuff. When you start taking photos of your space, you see it more clearly. Like, would you share that on Instagram? You can actually see things quite differently if you take a photo of it. So that's something you can do if you really want to see your home with fresh eyes, right? You look at it on a screen and it's no longer your normal view. And so your, the sense input, your relationship with it is going to be different, right? So we're going to get a chance to do that now, right? So I'm not necessarily going to move furniture around. Please don't hurt yourself. But you can at least maybe plan, maybe look, maybe consider. But if you can do one hands-on thing where you get to touch something, and even if you just move the stack of papers a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, whatever that is, getting your hands on things and for 1 minute. Sound good? All right, let's go. The timer's on for a minute. All right. A minute can go by quickly, but they can also get quite a lot done. So I'm interested. Is there anything you want to share about what it is that you just did, what you were able to accomplish, see, feel, sense, consider in a minute? Peg laid hands on. Okay, thanks. Wonderful. All right, 45 seconds, quite a lot. Felt good. Scrap wood out of the utility closet. Started a bag. Wonderful. Difficulty making decisions. Okay. Very interesting. Great awareness. The things in our home are related to a lot more than we necessarily think. seemed a lot more manageable. It was a lot more manageable than it seemed. This is the thing that can start to happen, right? At least the simple things. If you give yourself only 1 minute, you can only do something simple. And that simple thing then helps you to do more. Fantastic. Just leave another 30 seconds or so if you have anything that you want to put. Some folks might still be moving some furniture around. Something very common in my courses, we see people up and about already making changes. Okay, about 10 seconds, then I'm going to move on to the next one. And we're shifting direction a little bit into holiday time. All right. Thank you all for sharing and for getting your hands on things. I'm just curious, do you decorate for the holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate, if you celebrate? We have several holidays that take place at this time of year, all of them having things to do with light, which is interesting. So do you? Okay. All right. So we have maybe sometimes several people saying yes. Okay, someone saying no, a couple of maybe sometimes, right? Sometimes if if your parents or your extended family are the ones that decorate, you might not. You might not be into it. It's fine. Might be your time to just going to hang up your picture of the Grinch or Scrooge or someone else. Okay, here we go. So quite a few of you do. All right. Well, I decided to just do a little look on the science because I'm always interested in the relationship between this seasonal decor and seasonal shift and what it is we can experience. Because, it's a time that can be uplifting, it can bring people together, and so on and so forth, and can also cause stress. And that's another side of it. But what are the possible benefits from what it is that um, we can do when we're decorating? So, I'd like you to consider that. What do you imagine the benefits of seasonal decorations could be? And then I'll give you a couple of little scientific insights and also a Feng Shui perspective to go with that. Shifting mood, hopefully for the better, but not necessarily. But it might be. What else? Better light, nostalgia, adding some fun. Aha! Showing up the neighbors. Well done. Joy, fun, good vibes, appreciation. Yes. Enjoy the lights. Yes. In the Northern Hemisphere. We don't have any Australians with us just at this moment, right? But yes, indeed. Hands in the room. Brightens the room. Yes. It's nostalgia if we have like family, right? Family decor that we've been using for a long time. Get into the festive mood. Feels exciting. Okay, cool. Well, one of the things that you're doing is you're changing stuff. And when things in the home don't change a lot, and it's not like we need to redecorating everything all the time, but our nervous systems really do crave change. And so when you are changing things and it relates to the season and so on, you're bringing yourself more into present time, you're updating things, you feel that you're part of something greater because a lot of folks are doing this kind of thing. And so it really creates a little bit more, I think, than we necessarily think. Bringing joy and honoring the holiday. Yeah. And enjoying your space instead of just surviving it. Well, this is it. And this brings up quite a lot. Um, so, so many things to share, but I'm going to wait on this particular point and then hopefully remember once we get past the couple of screens here. So this is kind of cool, right? So it's like apparently Christmas decorations don't just bring joy, they tell a story about the people. Well, hello, welcome to Feng Shui. Homes with Christmas decorations seem more sociable and warm to strangers, which is great. Although, of course, if you don't strangers, you might say, well, I'm going to put a wreath of cactus on the door. Please don't do that. That is wrong shui. But the main thing is there's a softening that happens and there's a warmth that gets created, which is understandable, right? When you start working with the five F's, which is part of Feng Shui, that we're using different materials, different colors, different kinds of items. You're doing something seasonal, you're doing something to create some warmth. That warmth gets communicated, right? Now, whether you want to do this, and again, I'm not suggesting you do any of this stuff just for other people. You want to be doing all of this stuff for yourself first, and then ideally, that's also going to sort of enhance your relationships. You're not doing only to satisfy others. But this is pretty cool. Decorating for the seasons early might improve your mood. And I would say if you've done it early or not, do it if it's going to improve your mood. So a colleague of mine was saying she had a client who was suffering, I would say, from, the term I would use is HGTV syndrome, and sort of beigeification 101, where she lived in a pretty colorless place because, that's kind of what's become trendy. But she would decorate for Christmas starting in October and keep them up for a couple of months afterwards. And she's like, wait, 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 wait. What do you mean you don't like color? Like you just told me you don't like color, and then you like to keep colorful decorations up for 4 months of the year. Like that becomes the excuse to have color, to have light, to have joy. Well, gee, what if that didn't have to just be a seasonal thing? And what if it's the fact that you are bringing in various elements that are nourishing to the nervous system and to our whole being, to our psychology, to our mindset? Because Christmas decorations actually do have a lot that, according to environmental psychology and feng shui, are really nourishing and enlivening. They really do something. So first of all, I would say the fact that you're engaging in change, then you're engaging in change that relates to something that other people are doing. So you're creating this sense, whether you're connecting with any of these people or not, there's a communality. There's something that's shared with others and shared within the overall. But then there's different things like, putting something on your door. You are making a different statement to the world, right? And if you do lemons like this, then you're saying, hey, margaritas over at my place or lemonade. But doing some kind of decoration, putting something natural. I mean, this is something I suggest doing all the time. And people will sometimes just put things on the door at Christmas time, right? Maybe a month before, a little bit after, and then not. Well, why don't we just do this all the time? Right? And the same with things that are shiny. Things that are shiny and things that are glisten and the change in the light and change from your different perspective help you stay really connected to what's going on and ongoing change, right? And in the way that they create some brightness in your mood, right? And things, especially when light flickers or moves, there's something that appeals to us. Again, this has not changed for thousands of years. You can take the person out of the Stone Age. You can't take the Stone Age out of the person, right? Sitting around the fire and having that movement of the flame, right? Having the glistening of the light. There is something that is immediately soothing. And a very cool little piece of information that I heard from someone who did some emergency training is that the folks who tell you how to pack your emergency bags tell you to put candles, not just flashlights, because they create warmth and they are also calming. Now, if it's at the point that emergency preparedness folks are tuned into the fact that candles are calming, I wonder if we should pay attention. Right? So any of these things that are seasonal at this time, they can create that comfort. Well, guess what? That can happen year round. So I'm not talking Christmas trees necessarily year round, but if you have things that have the same qualities in your life ongoing. I think twinkle lights, to be honest, I think they're amazing. You can do this kind of decoration all the time, put it around your books, put it around your, I don't know, your tax papers if you want to really illuminate and sort of bring a little bit more fun, whatever that is. It's going to shift your mood significantly, right? So the things that we enjoy at Christmas time, find something that if you're decorating for Hanukkah, for Kwanzaa, for whatever holiday, Find something that appeals to you that you can use, perhaps in that same form, perhaps in a different form throughout the year. And I also think that it's the going through it, going through the change. So it's a holiday season, and you take a look at seasons. We've got 4 seasons a year. Some places we have 6. And what if you do some changes each season, which, we kind of do. But what if we decorated for that and just do a couple of elegant little touches that enhance and raise our energy? Right? I'm going to suggest a couple of quick energetic boosters if things are feeling a little bit flat. If you're wanting to do a little energetic refresh, some of this stuff is simple. These are things that I teach in several of my seminars. There's a couple of points here that are in my New Year seminars. That's also in my ongoing programs, and something I suggest. I always suggest cleaning your door and your entrance. Right? It's where the outside world comes to you. And even if you don't want people coming to you, except for your Amazon person and DoorDash, um, opportunities, the universe finds you this way. So if you're basically your physical front door also reflects your personal energetic relationship with the outside world. So give it a little sweep, a little wash, clear the path to the door. If you do a little sweeping in Japan, every shop sweeps outside the front door every day. And I can tell you it makes an incredible difference. Um, Actually cleaning or washing the side of the frame, front of the door, before you put your wreath on or whatever that is. If you're not going to do any decoration, just doing that wipe, that simple dust really makes a difference. And corners can really be overlooked. And in holiday times, a lot of people put their Christmas trees in the corner, or they put some other kind of seasonal decoration in the corner, and all of a sudden it's enlivened. Well, corners should be enlivened all the time. They are places where energy can get stuck, where your dust bunnies and leftover socks can accumulate, and clutter can pile up. So keeping it clean and tidy, putting some lights. So this is a great place for twinkle lights, plants and flowers, whether they are seasonal or not, furniture that's getting used, aromatherapy or something that's circulating, and decoration that's uplifting. That's automatically going to change it. So if you still have some seasonal decoration to do, pay attention to your corners and see if there's something you can put in the corners that's going to enliven that. Think about it as like tent poles, right? In a sense, you have 4 corners in a room. If you're holding up a tent, right, those corners need to be solid and stable to hold the roof over you. And so quite often the corners can become a little bit of an energetic drain, and then you feel that your ceiling of possibility is just a little bit lower. So whatever it is that you can do to enliven your corners will be great. So we're going to start wrapping up. We'll have time for a little bit of a Q&A if you would like. But what was the most significant experience or awareness for you today, if there was one? Reframing your relationship. How much you have to be grateful for, livening up your corners. Oh, excellent. Good. What you can do. You shift of perspective for a minute. Yeah. How much you can get done in a minute. Yep. Minute really is kind of amazing. Mhm. Right. And in the comments, really helpful to have time to observe and then time to tweak things. Really appreciated the whole thing. Lovely. Wherever the relationship environment and your mood, an overall vibe. Aha. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. This one about understanding your challenges with decision. It all speaks to something deeper, right? This is what I aim to cover in my more engaged, sort of longer workshops. Yeah, soul. Yes, the soul and overall vibe. Need to embrace Feng Shui. I heartily recommend it. Corners and 1-minute exercises. Fabulous. Great. Just another few seconds, and then we're going to move on and wrap up shortly. It's just 2 more questions that I have for you. And first one is, what's the first change you're inspired to make after you sign off today? Going to be signing off in a few minutes. I'll be sticking around for a little bit for those who want to ask some more questions. I realize some of you might need to leave. Finish dusting, yes. In the D for dusting turns into a smiley face. Clean the entrance, organize the kitchen. Front door and entrance. Yeah, front doors are huge. Any blockage, anything at the front door. I mean, you want to welcome yourself home, you want to welcome opportunities home, and any blockages there will impact all of them. Lighten some pictures, conquer the utility closet, make friends with the utility closet, and then then that conquering will change tone a little bit. Holiday decor, clean the entrance. Yes. Pot of tea. Look at that. So why not enjoy moving the art pieces with a cup of tea? Be very British as well. Always put the kettle on. Like every British television program has somebody who's always in the midst of putting the kettle on. Decorate all year. Like, why not? Right? And change it up, though. Part of it is the fact that it's change, right? That you're doing something new. So you don't have to change all of your furniture if you just change some lighting or change some effects or change some plants or move things around, right? It's very cost effective and energetically supportive. Lovely. Well, so one last question. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we sign off? And then we will have an opportunity for some Q&A for those who want to stick around a little bit. I'm happy to answer some questions. All of this will be on the recording. You can type them in or speak them out. But if there's anything you want to share here right now, you are certainly welcome to do so. Great. I'm very happy that you could be here. I'm grateful for your time and enthusiasm. Your time. Yes. Yeah, and it really helps, I think, when we have fellow enthusiasts around, right? There is a real sense of community, and that helps to magnify what we're experiencing. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, being grateful for problematic places, right? They become less problematic. Wonderful. Have a routine for Feng Shui every week. Lovely. Right. And even every day, one of the things, you set a timer for 1 or 2 minutes and you just tidy things up just for 1 or 2 minutes. I was amazed, right? In a minute, a whole lot can happen. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you all. I am going to just end the presentation or the slide share here. And I realize some of you, if you need to take off, totally understand. If you want to stick around, this recording is going to keep going and I'll be sharing it online afterwards for others. If you're okay to share your questions verbally, if you have any, you're welcome to. Otherwise, if you want to type them into the chat, I'm happy to just read them out and answer them as well. But I do have a few minutes. If anybody has any questions, thoughts, considerations, anything along those lines, and if not, you're
Can
welcome
I
to.
ask a question,
You
Mark?
betcha. You bet.
What do you think about leaving your decorations up and like how long it's appropriate?
It's a question, it's a good one. It's fun because at Halloween, your pumpkin is going to start rotting and it's going to sort of tell you when the shelf life is done. And so this is the thing with nature and what's different, right? Like you buy some flowers and the flowers tell you when they're done. And you buy fruit and vegetables and they tell you when they're done. And normally, you stick them in that bottom drawer in your fridge. And then eventually, once you eventually get to that part of the fridge again, you realize, oh, they've been done for a little while. So when it comes to decorations, the challenge can be, right now we're sort of in sync, right? Because everybody's kind of synchronized. It's that time of year, it's something that's collective. And then we can be a little bit out of sync if we keep them up for too long. And so then it can feel like I'm trying to hold on to something that was supportive at that time, and now it's no longer that time, and then it starts to feel a little bit stale. So I've got a door decoration that I absolutely love, and I put it up pretty early. I put it up like after Halloween, so it's sometime in November. And then I usually wait till after Remembrance Day, and then I keep that up a little bit into January, but then it starts becoming like I need to have something that's less seasonal on the door. So I think it's a personal thing, but I think it can start to feel like, okay, I just haven't made the change and I'm trying to hold on to something from the past. So it's a balancing act. So I can't really say. I would just play it out and then also start to consider, that suggestion that I made of what's something new, what's something similar to holiday decor that you could use in the space that would be supportive and be a little bit refreshing and not feel like, okay, it's done, but I'm holding on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I find I get kind of depressed when I have to put all the decorations away.
Right? So then it's like, so then this is the thing, like our culture is so much like, okay, now is when it's allowed, right? Like this is when we allow ourselves to have light and trees and nature and fun stuff. And this is, I think, why, that HGTV sort of making people depressed. There's nothing fun about what they show on those programs. Everything is sterile. Everybody's creating, their their militant kitchens with, sort of strategically aligned plastic containers. And there's nothing joyful there. And I think at the holiday time, there's a lot of joy that comes from the color and the variety of shapes and so on. So I think it's up to us to find what it is that we can do either seasonally or regularly that's going to bring some of the same to it. But yeah, it's interesting to observe that. But then, see what you can replace, right? Maybe you can put some, could be the twinkle lights or something along those lines, or some other uplifting or colorful plants. Thanks for asking that. Favorable place to, sorry, is it favorable to place flowers on the outer sides, one of the outer sides of the door? So, what I've historically taught for entrances is, the way they used to have in traditional feng shui, they have those lions on either side of the door. You can do that with plants. What's always going to depend is, do you have the space for it? Right? So if you're creating an obstacle, if you can't open the door, if you're going to trip over it, wrong shui, right? So you want to make sure that it's going to be something that actually works. But I would say it would be wonderful if you have the space, if it's not going to block it, then, you can do, absolutely. Um, Having something natural by the door and on the door, I think is really key because everything's so flat and linear and hard and human made that as soon as we see nature, our nervous system can feel welcome and relaxed. And so having any of those signs that you can have on the outside is really supportive. Any benefit to color versus white lights for the tree or decor? Great question. There's a lot of folks who have a lot of the word nostalgia popped up for a few folks talking about Christmas decorations. And anybody who lived through the 70s, like I did, that I would consider to be a bit of a fashion nightmare that extended into a lot of things, including incredibly tacky Christmas lights. Some people love them. Some people just say, oh, they're tacky, but I love them. Great, then use them. So that, whatever it is that you love, I think is going to be great. Um, in terms of the color, I'll leave that up to you. Personally, there's something I think that's all season when it comes to twinkle lights. Like these really little tiny ones and the little strings that sort of, can go in a non-linear way and have a little sparkle to them, especially. I think those should be welcome full season, but it's your place. So I would say do what it is that you want. Like if it brings you joy and if there's a positive energetic benefit that you're actually experiencing from having them up, then I would say that's great. What else? Taking this opportunity, is it true that you need exact same bedside lights on both? Yeah, okay. This is interesting. So yeah, this is when it comes to pairing, right? So the reason we do that in the outside is, there's yin and there's yang. And so when it comes to working in our personal spaces, we want to have that balance as well. And so even if you're talking there are two individuals, in the shared space, you want to have difference, but you want to have commonality. And the things that this is just the one aside that I'll do is, in the bedroom, matching end tables, matching lamps provide similar structure, matching structure, and matching viewpoint, like a shared vision. So that's where that can work. And that's why that can be so good outside the front door and then in other places in the home to have that sense of balance. So you don't want everything to be matchy-matchy like that. I would say bedroom, it's definitely better if you do. Anything else about the attitude of gratitude, about Christmas decor, Kwanzaa decor, Hanukkah decor, whatever decor else we're doing?
Just a
Yeah,
quick question.
you
And
bet.
this may be sort of out there, but I live by myself and I don't know, for some reason, whenever I try to do something like this, it magnifies my aloneness. It's depressing to me to lay my hands on all of
Mhm.
these things that are like, half finished projects. And I don't
Mhm.
know, man, and a little probably too revealing, but I used to smoke a little weed and drink a little bit. I don't do anything like that anymore. I think that helped me back in the day to have a few
Mhm.
drinks and do something like that. But I know I need to do it, but it's even like cleaning up. It's for some reason it's just depressing to me. And I just want to live here and go do things and come back home and not really look at stuff because it's just so, I don't know, overwhelming to do it.
I
Nobody's
totally
gonna see
understand.
it. Nobody's gonna see it but my dog and cat, you know.
Yeah, but you're going to see it, but you also feel
Yeah.
it.
I know it's good. I know I need to do it.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this up because it's a tough point, and I think you are not alone with that point. I think it impacts a lot of folks, and that's one of the reasons we don't do it is it puts us in contact
Right.
with, and it continues to replicate
Yeah.
that frame of mind and that mindset and that emotional state. So I
Mhm.
would say, I mean, a couple of things that you could do that would help is, if aloneness is one of the things, get a cleaning party set up. Hey folks, why don't you come? We're going to do a little,
Yeah.
you treat everybody, you have a barbecue, you have some drinks after, you do
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and you do this, but and this is what I talk about sort of, and what I present in my 8-part, the story of your stuff program is, we have a systematic approach and you tackle sort of these
Mm.
different things and you sort of look at the emotional side of things.
Hmm.
But I think that, one of the things to do, I mean, if you're a musician, crank some tunes, do something
Yeah.
to change the space and enliven the space. But I think
Uh-huh.
getting somebody else in there will make a huge
Yeah.
difference. If you have a
A
good
little
friend,
terrifying. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely get it. And it's, I really appreciate your honesty and your bravery in bringing up the question because it is important. And I think it's one of the things that keeps things that way. And we
Yeah.
think it doesn't matter. And yet, in a sense, it's a little bit like, if we think about, the fruits and the vegetables and the flowers that are past their best before date, those have a smell and
Yeah.
they have a sense, like you can clearly see it. But our physical possessions, we can tune that out because they don't have the same degree of sensory, energetic degradation
Right.
that natural things do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we can tune it out a little bit more.
Yeah. I have found like with cleaning, if I do audio book, it's helpful. But I love audio books for that. But it's like when it's, dealing with like, I just start overthinking it. It's like, okay, I got all these computers in this corner. I'm like, well, do I need to erase all these hard drives and then, blah, blah, blah. And it becomes
Yep,
overwhelming and I leave them sitting there for another
absolutely.
year.
Yeah. So the thing to do is to change your sense input, right? So like you're saying, you do, the audiobooks sort of, raise your
Right.
mood, or that's something you're interested in. So, stacking the habit, doing something that you like along with something that you have to do. For me, it's, the kitchen's my least favorite place.
Yeah.
And my dish rack is my least favorite thing. Is anybody ever made a dish rack that actually properly holds things? Like there's all this differently shaped stuff. It's like none of the dish racks ever hold that stuff. So it always looks like, this sort of Tetris game that's been done by drunk raccoons. So I think that, for me, I got a Bluetooth speaker in there and I listen to podcasts that I want to listen to while I'm doing that. So that way I'm getting some other simultaneous benefit. So I would suggest the same thing, but I also think that having a good friend who you can invite over is really going to make the difference. And then you can offer the same to them.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you.
that. I really
Yeah.
appreciate the question.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Anything? I realize we're 10-ish minutes past the hour, so some of you might need to go. Some of you in Europe might be falling asleep. Some of you not in Europe might be falling asleep from my shui nagging over here. All right. Well, thank you all for joining. I will aim to get this edited and the replay up if you want to, if you want to follow up and do a little repeat. And if you want to share it with folks as well, I'm very happy for that to happen. Thank you all. I really do appreciate it. And I'm just going to actually see one follow-up. Keep my tree with lights up pretty much longer than the decorations on the tree. Yeah, the light is really great. Thanks so much. And lovely to have you here. Thank you all for the lovely comments. Thank you all for your participation and your enthusiasm. And happy holidays to you and yours. And thank you to you and to anybody in your life who made it possible for you to be here. And I wish you lots of joy, abundance, light, and gratitude this season and beyond. Thank you all.